We're back with our continued preview of the Melbourne Cup. Boys, we got up to number 4, Bondi Beach. He's an $11 shot, but he's one I'm taking the sword to here. His form doesn't look strong enough for mine, and I reckon he's massive unders. And I will be, if he wins, I probably won't be.
I'm sure there are people, Juppy, that would say to me, and maybe even you, who are you blokes to criticise Aidan O'Brien? Right, but he's a horse trainer, and this shows...
About punters?
This shows for punters, isn't it? Well, I'm just saying for the punters. Now, who does Aidan O'Brien think he is coming out here with a horse, a very, very talented horse, on a rubbish preparation like this? To me, I've marked him $34 because he's a talented horse, but I could have marked him 100 to 1. I mean, if he wins, I'll lose. I just think it's a terrible preparation, and if you can win it with a preparation like this, Aidan, well done to you.
He's a genius, but I'm prepared to back that he's like you go back through his last 3 or 4 runs. He's been 3rd or 5 at Leopardstown in the Enterprise Stakes. He got beaten half a length. 3rd or 6 at Leopardstown as a 5 to 4 favourite, got beaten half a length again. Won a 3-horse race at Navan when he was 10s on, where you'd expect him to win. And he won a listed race at Limerick by 2.8 lengths when he was 6 to 4. So he hasn't exactly. And that's a huge. Some of those listed races in Ireland. Just be aware of this, punters. The listed races here. If you took any of our listed horses over there, you would win the listed races in Ireland.
I'm sure that the reason that he's been put in those races is just to keep his handicap where they wanted it, whatever. But he came out here with a much better preparation last year, and in the end was not competitive in a strange race. But we've had some great recent examples of the best horses not winning races when they're the best horse in it because they've been underprepared. So a good example yesterday is the United States. He was the best horse in that mile race yesterday by a long way. He ran a terrific race because he's super talented, but he didn't win the race. He was beaten by a couple of horses that were far better prepared for that race on that particular day. So, anyway.
Was Mark Twain who said if someone wants to bet you that the cider can squirt out of the ace of spades, be careful taking that bet?
Yep.
I tend to look at not only that it's trained by Aidan O'Brien, but that it's owned by Lloyd Williams, that it ran in this race last year and it left the country with one race in mind. Now, I could be totally wrong.
Yeah.
Then I looked at all those replays. Not one horse has run past him in those small fields. Now, small fields, I'm not saying they're quality yet, but he was ridden totally negatively in all of them. Out the back, work home, he won 2 of them, he got beaten in a few. They were slow tempo races. Without the benefit of the clock, I assumed that they were massive mid-race surges and just showed his talent, but he was in both a position and a race shape that made it impossible for him. And the small fields actually stopped him from, if he was put in those, the E-ball or one of those...
Yeah, E-ball or the Juddmonte or one of those,
trucked into it and smashed him. So I'm definitely keeping him on side because of his talent, because of the fact that it's Ryan Moore, it's Aidan O'Brien, it's Lloyd Williams. I just have too much respect for the fact that this has been the 12-month campaign of 3 geniuses, rider, trainer, owner, to win this race. I haven't got him on top, but I will be winning if he wins. There's the game of the
I was sort of like you, very wary of the fact Aidan O'Brien, Lloyd Williams, set for the race, all of that. Ryan Moore comes out to ride it, but not his last run at Leopardstown, but the one before that, he had to come through the field, and I just don't think he really liked racing between horses. He's never really done it before. As you see, he's always sat back last. Yeah. He's come round and had to go through the field. He didn't find much. Barrier 5 there on Tuesday. Where's he going to be? He's going to be right in the middle of the field for the whole race. I just really can't have him on the fact of that he just didn't want to go through that gap at all. It took him 150 metres to get through the gap, and they were struggles, really. The horses he was going past. $9, way under the odds.
I think that's a really good point, Nick. I mean, he was completely slaughtered in that race.
But then that tells you that if you slaughtered in the race...
No, but the point's well made that the horse didn't help himself.
No.
And you need competition to get to the level that you need to be at to win these type of races.
So what else do you think he'll start? Because that's a great point Nick made, that he's under the odds.
Yeah.
I think because of all those points that you made, Potts, the market's going to gap him a bit.
I think he'll be $15 on the total minimum.
Yeah, I think he'll start somewhere between $16 and $21.
Yeah.
But you boys mentioned this last year, I think, with this horse. It's his name. The ones he...
Yeah.
Like they're all going to have a bet on you, aren't they?
It's
I was
like
quite
we
keen
shot
on him
the
last year. I thought he was a
Yeah.
really good big price chance last year, and because he was really well prepped for it, he'd come through some extremely strong races. I mean, they've whatever improvement he's made, it's natural. They've not given him any competition to improve. So anyway, as you said, they're very clever people that haven't got to where they are in life by not knowing what they're doing. But geez, it seems odd to me.
Number 5 is Exospheric for Liam Anthony Freeman and Damien Oliver. He comes off a 3rd behind Jamaica in the Caulfield Cup, and 5th in the Juddmonte over at York. He's a $21 chance. I thought his form's pretty solid, and he looks to have a nice each way hope.
Anyone want to
Jump
talk
in,
about
boys.
Sarah?
I think he's behind the Big Orange situation.
I'd agree with that.
As a starting point, but then again, I mean, it's and the other thing is that keeps nagging it is how much could Lee Freeman have done with him.
Yep.
And that they've done shoeing changes, and I know every time publicly they always say, "Oh, the shoeing isn't for that reason; it's for this reason." In reality, you don't change shoes on horses with perfect hooves.
No.
So it is for a reason. And so that plays in here. I thought he had the perfect run in the Caulfield Cup,
Yep.
where they went fast, as Potts was saying earlier, and there was an anchor drop into that
breeze.
head.
Yep.
So really, the ones that were behind Jamaica, you have to question on talent, but he's clearly got some staying potential. What you said there, ability. What you said there, Juppy, about the price. I think that's his price. I think that's probably a fair price. If he wins, everyone will go, look, it's Freeman, it's Oliver, it's a horse with import, with ability, and rightfully so.
Yep.
But he's definitely in the group. But one I won't back, but I'll have it in my mouldies.
Well, he's second up off the plane, so I think he'll improve off his Caulfield Cup effort.
Fair point.
But that improvement will probably be somewhere around 1.5 to 2 lengths, and that'll get him within probably 5 lengths of the winner, and that's about as good as he'll do.
I thought his Caulfield Cup run was... I was a bit up in the air, you know, he ran home well, second fastest home in the race, 12-1, last 200, 23-8 for the 4. But that headwind down the side, he wasn't ever exposed to it all, and then he popped him out, 400 out, 600 out, and then he's just worked home. He worked home well, but a bit up in the air, but then you go back to his form through Big Orange and Highland Reel and the like, he's easy enough to tie into the race, but I don't know what to do with him. I don't know whether I want him on my side or I don't. $21 is probably a good enough price though to keep him on, if he comes out, as you said, Damien Oliver, Lee Freeman, comes out and wins the race. It's a good enough price for him, but the Caulfield Cup form, we just don't really know what to make of it. It hasn't looked that good this far, and could be taking a bit of a line through it.
Boys, number 6 is the Cox Plate runner-up in Hartnell. He's a $5 chance, and for mine, he is the horse to beat. He comes out of the brutally run Cox Plate behind Winks, and I agree with Rick, who said he probably didn't think he got beat because she was so far in front of him that he couldn't see her. So he's probably one of the top picks for mine. But he is well found in the market. But I think there might be a little bit of room to move once, especially like with a best hope product, something like that. I think you might get out a little bit just with support for other runners.
Sounds like you're tipping him, Ralphie. What price do you think he'll start?
$350.
Think he'll start 350?
I think the avalanche is going to come for this reason. Dominic Byrne, we all aspire to be, within the same margin that Winks, everyone was chasing Winks by. But did you catch that Sky Channel show recently? Jamie Rogers with Dominic Byrne and Gary Crisp and Tony Basham.
I did.
I didn't
It's
see
good,
that.
wasn't
It
it?
was good. Good to see him doing stuff like that. Very good.
You wouldn't believe it, a media outlet doing something involved that's of interest to people.
No.
It was very odd.
No slide on Tony, but I would have preferred the show with just Dominic. Gary was fine. Anyway,
Hang on. They have set Tony a fair task. He does have to do form for 67,000 races each day.
honestly.
And it's rare that I miss this because I'm a huge fan of Jamie Rogers and I don't miss a lot of her work. So
She did a very good job. Now, he said his computer model has Hartnell at even money.
okay.
One of his big ticks is one run in the autumn.
Okay.
Apparently it's a massive historical tick. Import, more than one preparation in Australia, or it ticks every single box. Then when you look at the brutally run Cox Plate, it ticks the box about the speed type of runners coming off high pressure race and being able to peak.
Was that show filmed subsequent or prior to the Cox Plate?
I reckon it was prior to the Cox Plate.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
say right.
So
I think I'd love to hear what Suey's model as priced at now, because that the thermal run, you could go either way here.
yes,
The thermal runs a peak.
yep,
You can find excuses for the beaten margin at in the Cox Plate, and say he's held that ground and he can either improve on that or whatever, or you could say he's going backwards.
Well, do this.
so-
What do you think? If that's a Turnbull, do you think he's done that or that at the Cox Plate?
Now I've found ways to say he's held that rating,
Right.
right? But I'm using a bit of imagination to do that.
So I'm going to
So-
reverse. I'm saying that even though it was overall down, I'm calling it a that
Yeah.
because of the sustained pressure
Yeah.
and pace in the race.
Mm.
So I'm not worried about the margin. I'm not worried about that he's beaten by a freak. And I love the fact that it was such a high pressure race.
Yeah.
So but yes, that's true. That's another point. But then I would say that those big syndicate players would say, beaten 8 lengths in a Cox Plate, Green Moon beaten 8 lengths efficient, beaten 8 lengths in a Cox Plate. So really, and he ran a place. So that which those other horses didn't.
As we've seen recently with the big teams, when they find a margin for a horse, right? So whether they do with Hartnell or not remains to be seen. We'll only find out tomorrow when the when the betting's Tuesday, when the betting's.
No, Monday actually called the card.
occurring.
Will
Well, that's the
Yeah,
that's
the
the
big
first.
syndicates don't get involved
Really?
with the call card. No.
Is it?
I'm saying the late bit, but like just for instance, there was no way in the world you could have found a massive margin for Scheidel yesterday, but they found a margin that said this horse
This
is
is winning.
it's going to win.
Yep.
Right, it might be narrow. It's a 20 horse field, but we really don't care.
Is winning.
And
and they got it
They
wrong
should.
because it won by that much.
Yeah.
And do they give a shit? They don't.
No.
Their account balances say otherwise.
but once they find a margin for one, the betting can be astonishing.
Yes. Yeah.
It really can be. So
So I think the syndicate players will launch in one way or the other. I do think that it'll start least before, of course, I'm being a bit exaggerating by throwing $3.50, but I do think that $5 is a good price. I think that they'll really, the cavalry will come, and I'm certainly very keen on it.
Pots.
what do you say about this horse, Nick?
Yeah, I probably feel like you're tipping in the race, whatever, he'd be the top pick, wouldn't he? You know, James McDonald, John O'Shea, having a massive spring. The thing with him is, Oceanographer that won the other day, I'm sure we'll get to, but he's coming to $7.50 in the market saying it's probably his main danger now and not Jamaica. He beat Tully in the Turnbull Stakes by, 6.5 lengths probably. Oceanographer came out and beat him by a similar margin. I don't know how you line that up, and you know, you can line his form up, Oceanographer, to this horse, but I think this horse has his measure, and I can't see how the market truly came in on this Oceanographer horse into $7.50 when Hartnell's been the, you know, he's been the second, the best horse in the spring. Beaten 8 lengths by a champion in the Cox Plate, as you said, fastly run and all that. It's all in his favour. It comes with the Cox Plate, Furiante, Green Moon, Efficient, they've all done it. The thing I've been hearing is he missing a 2400 metre run?
Well, I call the Cox Plate a 2400 run because of the brutality of the
Did
race. And really, the great point you make, but Hartnell's best career form is when he gets to 2400 plus.
Yes.
So, you got a clue there?
Oh no! Honestly, he's the hardest runner in the race to price. To me, like he's the top pick.
Yeah, because it could either be 5 to 2 or 5 to 1. You're still probably right.
Well, I think his range to me is 3 to 1 to 7 to 1. Now, why I'm saying so wide is that there will be people that look at the trainer's record in these type of races and just go, he won't get it right. This horse won't produce a peak. So there'll be people that'll take that angle. There'll be people that look at all year round in distance races, we're looking for horses that have had the run in the distance range, that are fully prepped for it. But the Melbourne Cup, because there's so few 3200 metre races in Australia, it's almost like a complete outlier. It's just all the normal rules don't apply. So it's completely different. So in the end, I think Hartnell's the runner that everyone's going to have to make a decision on, and they're sort of going to have to go one way or the other in the end. So I spent a lot of time on Hartnell. I agree with Ralph that coming through the Cox Plate is a significant advantage for this horse. I think the map is a significant advantage for this horse. He maps to race in Vince Arcadi's sweet spot in a race that's going to be run at least 5 lengths above average tempo. And John O'Shea will never get a better chance to win a grand final race than he will with this horse. Now, in terms of me, what am I going to do with the betting? I've had probably a third of my bet so far at 550. I'll probably back him again on Monday, and then I'll cop the rest at whatever the market tells me is the price on Tuesday, and I'll just wear the average because I'm really not quite sure which direction he's going to go. And if you ask me to predict his SP, I would say 7-2 is my prediction for this horse's SP.
Number 7 is Who Shot the Barman for Chris Waller and Huey Bowman. He's a 40-1 shot. I don't think his form's good enough to win this. He'll be going around without me.
A significant increase in tempo last week. The Metrop was a walk. The Moonee Valley Cup was brutally run. He's run a place in the race. Waller, Bowman, tough horse, good Flemington horse.
Yep.
One that you could really consider for your multis at that type of price.
I think he'll sort of run on into the top 8.
Yep.
He'll get beat sort of 4 or 5 lengths.
Yep.
I 20. Can't help him though. Drawn out almost close enough to the car park. Huey Bowman on board. He's the informed jockey at the spring, so that's got to help. But yeah, I can't have him. Not gone good.
The barrier just means I'll be able to ride him conservatively, which is what he needs to run into a spot beaten 4 or 5 lengths.
Number 8 is Wicklow Brave, who was a horse who did me a massive favour last start in the Irish St Ledger, getting the odds-on pop beat. He's got very, very strong UK form, and it's at the top level. And for, let's face it, there's some great trainers in this race, but for mine, Willie Mullins is just about on his own.
He's in good.
Yeah, he is an absolute master. This is a horse I've backed earlier, straight after he won the St Ledger, and I will definitely be with him on Tuesday. Nick, what did you think?
I really liked him until he drew barrier 24. That has to be a concern for any runner if you're drawn out there. But I didn't know what to make of him on the map, considering that he can push forward, or do they elect to take a sit on him and try to find some cover?
There's no easy answer. They're just going to have to
I think they're just going
come out of the barriers and see where they end up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no easy answer. He's in any way you draw a map, he's going to be. The natural spot for him is to come across sort of just beyond midfield and be posted. So, you can get really lucky. You can just happen to find a hole in the field and things work out for you. But it's a lap of the gods.
Speaking of former at around that distance range, though, he is one horse that definitely does have it. Like the third in the Lonsdale Cup, winning the St Ledger, they're all at that sort of 2400 and above range. That
Jumpy, what do you make of in the Goodwood? He was $17 and Big Orange was $3.80 and tailed him.
True, but I think he's come on significantly since then. It's the same with his 12-1 SP and the St Ledger. I think that was too big a price. I got a chunk out of the favourite there that day.
Self-interest punters.
No, and I think the favourite was at $1.16. I think that was Order St George. Got a heap out of him, and I think he's the run from Goodwood to then go to it's tricky. You have to sort of know the tracks over there because Goodwood is a little bit uphill and down dale, and the thing with York is a brutal uphill run. And so that run in the Lonsdale Cup was good, and then the Curra was just another one. It was only 4 on a field, but it was a decent field that race.
Well, as you said, he beat Order of St George. He went on to run third in the Arc. He's probably the best ranked stayer on the world rankings.
Yep.
I think he's 33rd, or something around there. And then in that race, he also beat Trip to Paris, who came out here last year, ran well in the Caulfield Cup as we saw. And then you're probably going back to that run with Big Orange, as you said, but if you don't know the tracks, it's hard to get a gauge on that. It looked like Big Orange just had a bit of a picnic out in the front, then turned the tempo on and nothing could catch him.
First time we've ever had world rankings mentioned on this show. He's giving us an absolute lesson here, Punters.
Rating expert on that.
You've got to make a decision on these horses. Wicklow Brave faces a task. He's going to be a popular horse because amongst keen punters, this stable, these connections are very popular. Yep. So I think he'll be well in the market, and I think he's under the odds. And I think Ralph's point about the SP and the beaten margin from the Goodwood race is a bridge that's going to be hard for this horse to overcome.
And if he does get beat in some sort of 6 circumstances, I will be happy to back under 5:38, which will be the time that Franco Dettori leaves the airport. He'll be first out of the joint. Number 9 is Al Moonquith, and he's a 20-1 shot. What I've got noted down here is I'll wait to back him again in the Sandown Cup rather than backing him in the Melbourne Cup. I can't understand how it and Wicklow Brave are the same price. I know probably the barrier and whatnot's got a bit to do with it, but like on class and ability, I think Wicklow Brave's got a bit more talent than he does. So yeah, he seems unders to mine. And again, I will wait for the 10 days later when I can back into Sandown plots.
Well, if we want to finish this show before the Cup starts, so you got to be quick about some of these runners. If everything goes right, he might run 10th.
Yep, snap.
No.
Galliente, number 10, is a 70 to 1 shot. He's, I think, absolute stretch. He's a place chance if he's right, but he just seems to have, just puts in these odd runs every now and again.
So here we are. This time last year, we got the Prince of Penzance, and there were things you could say positive about Prince of Penzance, but we sort of just decided that, he was 100 to 1. It wasn't worth wasting any time on him, so we just brushed past it. So Gallant's here trying to repeat the Prince of Penzance effort, albeit Prince of Penzance went very fast in the Moonee Valley Cup and was in the finish, whereas Gallant dropped out. So I think if he had been in the finish of the Moonee Valley Cup, I would have been extremely interested in him here, but he just dropped too far out for me.
Well, let's move to the Moonee Valley Cup with Grand Marshal at the same time as well. But look, those are pretty fast race. Grand Marshal, I can't have Galante off a bad run. Horses don't win Melbourne Cups off bad runs. I just think that's a great starting point. Grand Marshal wasn't a bad run. It's a tough stayer. He's probably in that group that can run 4th and 10th. So that means if things go against a couple others, he's some fluke place chance. But I just can't have him from a win perspective. Grand Marshal.
I think he could run top 10. That's about his measure. We're talking about horses that have had the run at 3,200 metres since, in the past years. The horse has done it, won the Group 1 Sydney Cup, but he beat LeBron and Grand Marshal there. Interesting thing with him is I think he's just legless on a dry track. You go back to a few of his runs, and early in his when he came out and got smashed one day at Packham, and they just put it down to the track, I was pretty sure. So if the sting was out, I'd be a lot more on his side compared to what it's going to be, but probably a guess.
Grand Marshall's a 40 to 1 chance and he has Group 2 form, so it's a no from me. Number 12 is Jamaica, the winner of the Caulfield Cup. She's in the mix, but she seems unders at $8.50. Like I'd want sort of $11 or $12 before I'd consider backing her.
I think you might get 10 to 1 jumpy.
Yeah.
I think she's going to just sort of creep out in the market a little
buy
bit.
and sell. If they come for Hartnell, she's going to eat.
Yeah, exactly. There's other horses they could come for a bit. So she's very hard. That you can't knock anything she's done, really, can you?
No.
It's not her fault that the Cox Plate was pretty weak behind her. I mean, the Caulfield Cup, she certainly put a hole in them. She's a 4-year-old mare coming off a huge confidence-building win, so I think she'll be within 2 to 3 lengths of the winner, and she might be the winner. So she's a horse I'm fairly neutral on.
Against the market, I'll risk her. I thought she had the perfect run, perfect ride, perfect circumstance to be very good in the Caulfield Cup. So I'm not saying she fluked it. She was very good, but she had everything in her favour. And then that tells you. Then my next question is: so how does she then go over a race which is 33% longer?
Yep.
In a better race, which than the Melbourne Cup's a better race than the Caulfield Cup. So it's going to just elevate again, get further distance, get the perfect run again. All those factors to me is something that can she win? Of course she can, but she's the one I'll greatly risk against the market.
No, I like her a lot. Barrier 3 helps her. Nicole Aboard, in form, combination, him and Kieran Maher. As you said, she's done nothing wrong. Like, she's had the ideal preparation. She has to lift to beat Hartnell. That was my only sort of query with her. 2,000 metres last time they met at Flemington. Beat her by 3 lengths and did it easy. But I don't think her best trip's 2,000. I think once she gets out over the further trips, a bit of a query is how she's going to settle in the run though. She was a bit on the steel last start there at Caulfield in the early stages. But barrier 3 is a gun barrier. with them back in this oceanographer, she sort of drifted out in the market and we could get $10 on the day. So yeah, really keen on her.
Yeah, I think all those fact points you just made, the map, the likely tempo of this race, and the fact that she's got ascending ratings,
Yeah.
all make her very hard to just take a pit. Look,
Yeah.
I went into doing this race wanting to take a position against her because I thought I hadn't realised where she drifted to, so she's getting closer to where I'd be interested. But just all the factors have worked in her favour, I think. So the good draw, the fast tempo. The only thing that worries me a little bit about her, and it's one of those things that you'll never know until the race. On the map, she's kind of surrounded of the horses racing on the rail by horses that could be a real issue for her.
Yeah.
You could end up with, not being able to follow the right horse into the race. But Nick will be awake to all that. So
We'll take a quick break and come back with part 3.